actually going back in the opposite side of the tank here. Okay?
So it's being pulled out of this side.
Pulled out of this right here. And it comes down and it goes back in through this. And so you'll actually see some air bubbles. You know, there's air bubbles that, I don't know if you can see this or not. There are no air bubbles there. There are a lot of air bubbles right in through here.
So it almost looks like there isn't any water here, but it's full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you see all the air bubbles here as they're going by? Okay, that will eventually be chlorine gas when we actually hook up the electrolysis. One of the things we have to have before we hook up the electrolysis is we have to have these bubbles here. If they aren't there, then there are 2 or 3 things we have to troubleshoot to make sure that it's working. One thing, for example, might be that
Not tight enough.
we don't have the vacuum. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is maybe this hose might be loose. Oh, by the way, let me just show you what kind of a vacuum that we actually have. Put your finger on that. And that's the kind of a neat physics principle that it's called Bernoulli's principle.
Oh, I know that one. Well, it's a balloon and it goes straight up in. We did that at the tool museum.
Oh, good.
See?
Is that your
All the
promotional
things
skit for the Children's Museum of Indianapolis?
So, again, once I hook it up there, let's get this crank back down. There we go. Now we got our vacuum again. You see it starts rising and it evacuates this water that's in this tube. And now we've got our bubbles again. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to step over just a second. We'll actually hook up the electrolysis portion of this. Again, red to positive and black to negative. You immediately see here that we're starting to make chlorine. And what this is this is the sodium coming through and combining with the water to make sodium hydroxide. We actually trap the chlorine on the opposite side in this tube over there. And we'll let it sit here for a minute.
So this is simply the heater pump. There's not water coming through here, correct? Or
But there is water inside, yes.
Okay.
And it actually goes through there, and then it goes back, goes through the venturi and back in. You can see the...
Okay, so it comes down. Okay, so this is just running the water through the 2 big lines.
Right.
It's not interacting with these at all.
No. This liquid does not interact inside. We do not transfer the liquids here. In fact, both of these are poisons.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't want to transfer the waters in between.
All right.
Chlorine is a very dangerous... It's very good, but it's also can be very dangerous too.
Okay.
Okay. Chlorine bleach, by the way, is 7% chlorine, 93% water. By the time we get done with this, after maybe 20 operations or so, this could be 100% chlorine. Wow. And this will knock your socks off. Okay. If you breathe it. In fact, anytime that we have a lot of training that we go through just to make sure that they handle the liquids properly and so forth. And one of the things that it's a good idea is to lock this up in a safe area where kids can't get to it as well. So we'll assign a water person, and
so this is simply just moving water through. It's that down there that's heating and doing the separation. Right.
And the way that we're transferring the chlorine, okay, the chlorine gas is actually trapped in here.
Okay.
But with that venturi, we're actually sucking the gas into the line, and this is where we're injecting the chlorine.
So the chlorine's more of a gas than it is a liquid.
Oh, it is a gas.
So
Okay, this is chlorine liquid, and we're making it into a gaseous form with those air bubbles.
All right.
And so we're actually evacuating the chlorine gas through this tube, and it goes into this. This is what you see right here now is chlorine gas inside of it. Okay, do you see the air bubbles as they're all going by? And in fact, you can also see them right down here as they're coming out of the bulkhead. Okay, well what I'm going to do now is we're going to make sure that we're making chlorine. I already know that I am, because I can see it. As we're doing that, I know that we're making chlorine, but I'm going to actually prove it to you with a swimming pool tester. Okay, that's a nice thing about working out in the garage here. We'll just take a drop, and if it turns yellow, we know we're making chlorine.
How do we know that's not just food color?
Well, it could be.
Oh, wow.
have some good counselors if you. if you think
Trust
I'm
issues.
incorrect. Yes, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So now it's not just yellow, but it's actually gone off the scale, and we're actually producing orange, which means that we're about 10 to 20 times. We're actually making hyperchlorine here. So, and that's how I can do a whole tank like that in 10 minutes. If we look, okay, I'm testing at this point where it's after where we inject the chlorine. So now what I'm going to do, I'll pour that out. We're going to test it before where the chlorine gets injected to see what the chlorine level is inside the tank now. So we're going to see if we probably, after just a couple minutes here, okay, it's already turning yellow. I can see that. Okay, there we go. What we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to 3 parts per million if the water is fairly clean. If it's like river water, we're going to bring it up to 5 parts per million. So it depends on the source of where you're getting your water as to and how dirty it is. Okay, what would you say that is?
I would say it's maybe right 2 parts per million.
Okay.
Maybe, or what do you think?
What does everyone think here? You guys all get to vote. What'd you say?
Not sure I'm catching what we're looking at.
Okay, what
Matching
you're
the
doing is you're
colors.
looking at this and you're comparing it to this scale right here. So this is a half.
Oh, the dark.
1,
Okay,
2, 3,
I
and a
gotcha.
5.
I gotcha.
So a 5 is pretty dark.
Yeah, I'd say
Darker than 5 to me.
it is.
Seem darker?
What would you
It
say?
seems
It almost
lighter to
seems
me.
more-
Seems.
It looks like a 2.
To me, it seems lighter.
I think
Gosh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I think it's at least a 2.
At least a 2.
Yeah. So
can't do
and
it.
already we're
And ideally, with the water, like for rainwater, you know, they're using rainwater.
okay. Rainwater probably will have some bacteria in it,
Okay.
and so we'll probably want to bring it up. It'll depend on how
Especially as
clear
it
it
came
is.
through the gutters and the PVC pipes. And
Theirs wasn't real
Now,
clear.
I've seen like river water, you know, like during the rainy season, and the water is just dirty as could be,
Oh, okay, yes.
and lots of
okay.
mud and things like that. And that's when we'll bring it up to 5 just to make sure that we'll kill the bacteria. But right now, I think, you know, and I could do this test.